Good morning, guys. I have got a vlog planned for us today because I went and decided to buy more trees. So along with green chili, our area grows a lot of pecans. So there's a lot of information about pecan growing ripe in the area. I don't currently have any pecan trees, which are actually pretty common, even just in people's yards, on my property. But I found a grower about 15 minutes away that sells bare root pecan trees for about the same price, that actually cheaper than you would get online. And obviously they're local, which is awesome. So I'm gonna go pick up a couple of those today and take you guys with me. I've also got to dig more holes for the pecan trees that I'm buying. So I also found something really cool in the garden last night that I have to show you guys. So we're gonna go outside. It's pretty windy, like I said, so I'll be talking, but in the edit, if you guys can't hear me, I'll just voice over. But let's go. The shade cloth structure was finished this last weekend, and that was where it stopped, and the guys came and just finished off these last 15 feet, or 10 feet, I believe, yeah. I think if I hold you guys with both hands, the wind will be fine. Yeah. Okay, so as I've said in a previous video, I am not expanding the shade cloth eastward over the garden that I will have over there. First off, it's way too much money. It was very costly to have this built, but when Chase and I first tried to do it cheaply, we don't do any construction or things like that. Honestly, we just tried to rig it up in the cheapest way possible, and most of the time, cheap doesn't last very long. So I splurged, paid for it to be done professionally, which I do not regret at all. It held up amazingly last year. The reason this will stay uncovered is because as the sun sets, that direction is west. So as the sun sets, this shade will gradually cover these plants that are largely uncovered during the day, but they will be protected during the harshest sunlight and heat of the day. So I'm going to hide here behind the broccoli plant. The shade cloth is complete. The structure is completed essentially. And I'm so excited for this year because I think my potatoes will do so much better than they did last year when they're not hitting the direct sun in July. So next up on the plan for the garden is going to be starting seeds. So I'll be starting almost all of my seeds with you guys in about a week or less. And I am just so excited for it. It finally feels like spring. It has been warming up lately. The weather has been in the 70s. Today it's a little chilly and windy. I think the high is 55 and the low is 24. So that fake spring is definitely tugging at my heartstrings, but I'm starting to see grass greening up and weeds coming up, and actually it's gotten warm enough that some of my cool weather crops have bolted. This pak choi right here has started to bolt, which means its leaves are going to be bitter and still edible, but you just probably don't want to eat it. But I have never had seeds from a homegrown choi like this, so I'm going to let that completely go to seed and then save them. And I believe I saw yesterday that this rosette it's also bolting. So the things that I see bolting, I'm going to try and let them go to seed because I've never saved cool weather crop seeds before. But the surprise that I wanted to show you guys has also never happened before. Look at this gorgeous head of broccoli that's forming. So these guys were planted last fall, and they were planted later than my other broccoli over there. So it got cold a little too quickly, and they didn't form any heads before they just basically stopped growing for the winter. And then look at this guy. My goodness. Several of them are forming heads. And I had some pretty bad luck with overwintered broccoli last year. And tonight's the coldest night forecasted in a while, and I almost don't want to leave them there because I don't want them to be ruined. I've never had a overwintered crop of broccoli. I don't know what to do. But most everything else in here is not viable. I have several cabbage heads that are just blistered by the cold, and frankly I've been feeding them all to my chickens anyways. This kale is obviously still edible, and I do pick off of that one, and this one regularly. I just have so much growing in my hydroponics tower that I don't come out here a whole lot. And there's not a whole lot growing. Because of the warm weather though, these leeks have really taken off. As well as these guys, if you remember from the video where I took out the Brussels sprouts that were in this bed, all of these leeks had been covered by the understory. So when they finally had some sunlight, they just... And my garlic's going strong. It's been growing a little bit more since the weather's been warming up and the daylight hours are increasing. So I should have an amazing crop of 3 different types of garlic this year. I'll link up above my garlic planting video for y'all. But that's about it for the garden. I've been slowly taking things out, either to eat or to feed to the chickens, just because I'm getting excited about spring. I feel like as I clear my beds, that means spring is closer because I'll be planting into them. But let me decide where these pecan trees are going. Chase had the same idea I did of them sort of framing the front of the property. I'm not going to buy that many today to actually do that, but let me just show you. So this is the entirety of our front yard fence, which would be ideal to have a row of trees, but unfortunately I planted this willow tree here several years ago, and that's got to stay. So instead we've just decided on 4 corners for now. It's like my own little sandbox. Whew, it is windy out there. All right, so the holes are dug, and the owner of the nursery yesterday told me to dig them 3 feet deep, which is a lot. But it's sugar sand, so like once you get, 2 feet down, it's so easy. The only problem is the sand just keeps falling back in. But I'm inclined to listen to whatever he tells me since he's been doing this his whole life. But we are going to head there. I probably won't take too much video because I don't want to make it uncomfortable or weird or anything. And I'm already weird without the camera, so there's that.
Are you with the one down there?
Alright guys, I have my trees. He was not kidding about having to dig the holes 3 feet deep. Those roots are long, and I am absolutely going to have to dig more out. But I am so excited. So these are, I don't know how tall they are. They're taller than me with the roots, but I want to say probably, they're about 4 foot tall trees at the graft, and maybe 3/4 to an inch in caliper, so the diameter. Pretty good sized trees. I got each of them for $30. They were originally supposed to be $35, but I spent the last couple days talking to Mr. Pena and trying to figure out how to grow these pecan trees, and he gave me a $10 discount. So get to know your farmers and you can learn a lot from them. Mr. Pena here has been growing pecan trees for more than half of his adult life, and he had a lot of knowledge to share with me, and I already want more trees. Maybe I can get 2 more. All right guys, well, I am back at the house with the trees right here. And it is really windy outside, so I'm going to give myself a break and just plant these without you. I will show you the finished product, but I did want to show you real quick how big these trees are. Let's see. Look at how big these are. This is my fridge. They're huge. I'm gonna have to dig my hole so much deeper. So they just wrapped them in moist straw and then a bag and wrapped it with baling twine, which was fine. I didn't have to drive that far, but I'm very excited. They almost didn't fit in my car, but I got them home. And I'm thinking we might buy 2 more and put them on the outer corners of the property line, at the corners of the property. So, but we'll see after I get these in the ground. All right guys, I'm gonna get a podcast in and get to planting, and I will catch you on the next one.